Hi, this is just an introduction to a tutorial series in which I'll be going through the very basics of the Unreal Engine 4. If you're unfamiliar with the Unreal Engine, it's a game engine, which is a piece of software used to develop video games. So similar pieces of software include Unity, Source, Havok, Creation Engine, CryEngine. There's tons out there, but this one's going to be focusing on the Unreal Engine. The Unreal Engine has been used to make games such as BioShock, Batman, the Arkham games, Mass Effect, Gears of War, and Fortnite is probably the most recent famous example. The engine was first developed to make the game Unreal, which later versions became Unreal Tournament, and in recent years Epic Games has adopted a similar business model to Unity and made the engine free for users, but if you make more than £3,000 in a single quarter, Epic will take 5% on anything that you earn on top of that. This is kind of like a thing that you need to know before you actually launch the editor. So when you download the Epic Games launcher through Epic Games website, which I'll put on here. So like this is Epic Games website. So if you go up here to Unreal Engine, you'll get the option here to download. Just hit that and then it will start to download the Unreal Engine. You will need to create an Epic Games account if you do not already have one in order to download the engine and the editor. Once you've downloaded the Epic Games launcher, you'll get something like this, which I think will have an Unreal Engine tab, and I believe you'll have the option here to download and install the engine/editor itself. Then once you've got to this point, if you click here, it should launch the Unreal Editor. So for some reason on the university PCs it brings up this error every single time I load it up. There is no disk drive in this PC, but anyway, if I just cancel that off, it will start to load up the editor. It does take a while because it's a pretty big piece of software. So when you select Launch Unreal Engine, it'll bring up the Unreal Projects browser. So these initial tabs on projects, it'll just have recent projects that you've been working on. So these are just some little prototypes / messing around that I've been doing recently. But what your project isn't on here, then you've got options to open a specific file or browse. If you click on New Project, which is what we'll be doing to start this tutorial series, you've got access to a series of what's called blueprint templates just here. There is a tab for C++ here, which you should ignore for the meantime. If you're not sure what blueprints are, blueprints is essentially the term used for Unreal Editor's visual scripting system. It is how games are programmed in the Unreal Editor. So this is just an example of some written code from Unity in MonoDevelop. So if you were to program a game in Unity, you would have to type code out like this. So what Unreal does with its blueprints is it turns this into a much more visual interaction, or a visual way of doing things. So it actually looks like this. So you end up with these nodes which you connect with these sort of plugs, and then that sort of creates the logic for the game. So for example, in this box down here we have this node which detects when the F key is pressed, and we can see when it is pressed it links to this one, so this will toggle the visibility. So this box, what it does is if the visibility of the object it's connected to is set to on, it turns it off, and if it's set to off, it turns it on. And you can see the target is a spotlight. So in this instance, pressing F will turn a spotlight within the scene on and off in the level. So it's a much more visual way of doing it than looking at something like this, which maybe not as obvious what things do. So like I say, we've got these examples here. These are all templates we can work from if we wish, and they already have a number of systems and features in place to help create a specific game of that type. So they've got flying first person, side-scrolling vehicle, things like that. The platform, these boxes down here, usually you'll just leave them as they are, but this one will say whether you're developing for a console desktop or a mobile tablet. This is maximum quality. Again, you'll probably just leave it as maximum quality. Don't worry about the scalable stuff for now. And you'll usually want to load it with starter content. So starter content is essentially some basic materials, props and effects that can be used when creating a prototype. So you get some like chairs and bushes, some walls and doors, some basic shapes, and also some particle effects and materials / textures that you can use in your project. For this tutorial series, initially I'm just going to work from the first person template just as an introduction. So if you click first person, name your project something appropriate. I'm just going to call this tutorial 1 and then hit create projects. So once that's finished loading, you'll get another window down here, which is the Unreal Editor, and it kind of looks like this. So we'll go through the interface in the next video, but for now I think what would probably be a good idea is to just hit play, this play button, and then you'll see that this window changes and it makes it look like it's a first person game. If you actually click this window, that's probably really loud, but you can walk around using WASD as you would in a normal PC first person shooter, and clicking will fire a ball. I'm not sure how loud that is, but you can see these are like physics objects that can be moved around the scene. These larger ones are not, they can't be moved, and you can jump, and you can sort of get a feel around what is available in the first person shooter template, and then we'll be working from this just to demonstrate basic principles of the Unreal Engine. So press escape to exit the gameplay mode. You can also press Alt and P to start playing the game. You can also press F11 if you want to full screen it, so just like that, works in full screen. Just a couple of things. So if I press escape, it takes me back to the editor mode, but press F11 if you want to window it again. One final thing I just want to mention before I move on: this isn't going to be an exhaustive tutorial series. There are going to be things that I don't cover, possibly because I don't know them myself, because Unreal Engine, similar to a lot of these other large pieces of software like Autodesk or Photoshop even, they've got so many built-in tools and are used for so many different applications that no one person is going to know everything about the engine. I know enough to be able to do what I need to do with it. If you want to go and explore further than what's covered in these videos, then there are plenty of other videos and other tutorial series that explore those aspects potentially. There's a lot of online resources for the engine. So that being said, let's just move on and actually start to learn how to use this thing.